this is Kyle, and this is Coop Talk. This is episode number 2. If you're just now joining us, episode number 1, we got to talk to Eric Anderson from the U.S. National Coop Championship in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. If you have not seen that episode yet, make sure you go and you check that out. Today's episode is going to feature Christopher Jones from KubbOn.com. Before we get started, I want to congratulate Jesse Frame. He was the winner of the U.S. National Coop Championship sunglasses and a couple stickers. He correctly answered the trivia question from last week that December 13th, 2011 was when Eau Claire, Wisconsin was officially recognized as the U.S. Coop capital of North America. So congratulations to you, Jesse. Thank you for everyone that's been subscribing and watching our episode 1 and the sneak peek. Thank you for those of you that are following us on Instagram. And, just hope you enjoy episode number 2, Mr. Christopher Jones. What's going on, Chris? How are you, sir?
Hey, Kyle. It's great to be here. Beautiful hat, by the way.
Hey, thank you so much. It's a little dingy and sweat stained, but I definitely got some good use out of it.
Yeah, it's well worn.
Yeah. That hoodie looks nice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, available on KubbOn.com.
Nice, perfect. Go to KubbOn.com. Get a clean hat, not a sweat stained hat, but get you a nice clean black hat or a sharp looking black hooded sweatshirt like Mr. Christopher Jones has on right now. So what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a bit cold up here, but that just means winter coop for me.
Yeah. Where is up here for those listeners and viewers that don't know where you're at?
I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been here for almost 5 years now.
Yeah. So that's St. Paul Coop Society is your club?
Yep, that would be my home club. We pretty much play just about every Saturday these days. We've got 3 or 4 rotating leagues throughout the year.
Yeah. So what's going on in St. Paul right now as far as Coop goes? Y'all playing indoors, outdoors, or y'all taking a hiatus?
No, we're pretty hardcore up here. We'll play outdoors still. We're in the middle of our winter scramble league, so every Saturday we head over to Summit Brewing Company and crazily play outside in the snow and Arctic temperatures, where we switch up teams 3 every round. So you just keep your own points, and at the end of the season, we'll rank ourselves and do a little championship day.
How many people are in that league right now? Or teams?
I think it's about 16 people. So we're playing mostly 3v3 teams, depending on if there's a couple of people that don't show up or whatever, across 3 pitches.
Cool. So you've been in Minneapolis, you said, for 5 years now. Where are you from originally?
Originally from Monroe, Michigan. It's a little town south of Detroit.
Cool. So how did you end up in the Twin Cities?
It was for a job. I was kind of looking to move to a bigger city and had an opportunity present itself, so moved on over here. And at that point, I had already started playing Coop, so I was pretty excited to get in a little closer to a lot of the Coop action.
So who introduced you to Coop? How did you find out about this thing? I know. We all have our stories as far as this game is concerned, because it really is pretty much a foreign concept for most people.
Yeah.
We grow up with, basketball, football, baseball, and, horseshoes and bago or cornhole, depending on where you're from. We call it bago here in Arkansas. Everybody else calls it cornhole, I think. But how did you come across Coop? Who introduced you to it, or what's your story?
Yeah. So I was living in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the time. Just after college, a group of college friends and I would get together just about every week or so and, have dinner, and then we'd play some yard games, a lot of cornhole or bago, if you will. A lot of that kind of stuff going on. And then my friend Joey Wood had found this game. I think he had a Menards, and he's like, "Hey, I got this new game. Let's try it." But it didn't really have good instructions that came with it, so we were like making up rules, kind of real loosely based on what Kub was. But then my good friend Jesse Frame started looking up videos on YouTube and found a bunch of things about nationals and stuff like that. So every week we'd get back together, we'd play that game again, and Jesse would have some new rule, and for a while there we thought he was making it up. He's coming and oh, you can't throw him like this. You got to throw him underhand and over end, and then he started to tell us about like drilling and things like that. And we're just like, man, you're just making this stuff up. But he started sharing a lot of his resources he found online, and we all got super hooked on it. And then we decided that we were gonna pilgrim out to nationals one year in I think that would have been 2014. So 4 of us guys from Kalamazoo made the 8.5-hour drive out to Eau Claire, not knowing what to expect. And from then on, we were just like obsessed and hooked. And we co-founded the Kalamazoo Kub Club. And then about a year and a half later, I moved out to Minneapolis. So I just got even more into the Kub community from there.
Yeah. What was your first year at nationals like? Like, what's something that stands out as far as that first Natties experience?
It was crazy to go and meet all these people in person that we had been watching on YouTube, and everyone was just so friendly. Like, we met Eric Anderson, and we're just like, he was like a god to us. He's all these YouTube videos teaching you how to drill and all these things, and he was just so nice and came over, talked to us, spent some time with us. We had a few questions, like clarifications on the rules and stuff, and he just took the time to walk us through it all, and it was awesome. It was just, we couldn't believe that many people would get together to play this dumb little game that we like stumbled into.
Yeah, it was. I guess our first year was 2018, and it was sold out, 128 teams. Do you know, like, do you think there were that many teams in 2014, or do you have an idea about how many pitches were set up?
I'd have to double check, but I feel like it did break 100, so yeah. I think it might have been maybe like 114 or something around there, but it was definitely still like an impressive number of teams.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was like unlike anything I've ever seen or experienced before. I mean, I've played adult league dodgeball. I've been in an adult league volleyball. A lot of people play competitive softball down here, and the spectacle, I guess, almost of 64 cube pitches, set up, tents lining the entire field, vendors all around, and then these wonderful, delicious Swedish brats, which I had no idea were even a thing. The Swedish brat changed my life. I know of the 2 years that we've always had to stop and get some lefse, some of that Swedish flatbread, and we'll bring it home, and we'll end up making Swedish brats for friends and family. Like once we get back here to Arkansas. So big fan of that. Just a big fan of that whole experience. It's pretty phenomenal. So how often do you play competitive Kub, whether it be leagues or tournaments? What does that look like for you these days?
I mean, it kind of depends a little bit on the time of year, but it's not uncommon for me to play just about every week. I'm lucky enough to be part of the Kub Society in St. Paul, so they constantly have a bunch of leagues going. So we get together every Saturday and play for a few hours. And then, prime tournament season, I'm probably playing 2 or 3 tournaments a month. So it's pretty much every week in the height of the season. I'm out there playing, and of course I'll play a few times in the evenings for some practice, and it's taken over my life. It's my number one thing I do.
Yeah. Are you married? Have a girlfriend or anything like that?
I'm married. I've been married for about 7.5 years now.
Yeah. Does your wife play Kub?
She will play a little bit in the backyard.
Yeah.
But she's not super competitive, and so she doesn't like to do the tournament scene.
Yeah.
But she's very supportive of me, and I have to give her a big shout out, thank you for that. She knows that it's a passion of mine, and she's perfectly okay with me going away just about every weekend in the summer.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Um, my wife plays, and she went to nationals with us, this last summer, and we had an all women's team that was made up of all of our wives that went with us this year. Um, but yeah, I don't think she's not near as hooked on it as I am, or as enthusiastic as I am. But you know, it's nice that she had fun going up to nationals, and they had a good time playing.
That's great.
Can't remember who all they played. I know they played the California Cougars, which was awesome that they got to play them because we played them our first year, and all those guys are just super great dudes.
Oh yeah,
So it
totally.
was neat that they've played, they've played two teams from our club so far. So that was cool that they just, got to meet them and, meet our better halves, so to speak. Um, back to playing competitively and whatnot. You said you get to play, about every week or so. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses as far as um, competitive cube go?
Sure. I would say it's evolved quite a bit. When I first started playing, I was very much like the let me be the last baton kind of guy. Like I want to clean up if I need to from the blast, or I'll shoot at eights. But over time, I've become much more of a blaster. I love to incast now. Once I started to figure that out, now I'm just like every chance I can, I'll take that role in the team. So I kind of like doing the incasting and then taking those first couple of batons now. That's sort of where my strength is, I'd say. But I'm actively working to try and be a fit me in wherever you need me kind of guy. And then I think the other thing is like the mental part of the game. Like I've come a long way on that. When I first started playing, like one bad throw would mess me up for the next three, but now I can kind of isolate those batons. I think that's like a really important skill in competitive cube.
Yeah. Do you have a set team or a set, few guys that you get to play with regularly, and then that also like travel with you whenever you go to these tournaments and things?
Yeah, sometimes that changes over time as well. When I first started playing, it was all Kalamazoo guys, and then once I moved away, I met up with Brian Winnestorfer. We were both new to the St. Paul Coupe Society, so we started teaming up for a season or two, and then most recently, I've been playing a lot with Damian Moore as the Drill Pickles. So we've had some decent success. I think we won the Nordic Fest tournament in Decorah last year, and we were second at the West Coast out in LA last year. So I think we're planning to play a few more this year as well. So I guess that's the closest I have to a recurring team right now.
Yeah. So is it just the two of you for that, the Drill Pickles?
We're kind of like the two main ones, and then when we do play with a third, that's kind of changed a little bit here and there. So we haven't totally settled on anything. But last year we had Andy Lansett was one of our thirds, and he was pretty solid. And but he just had a new kid, so I don't think he's going to be traveling as much.
Yeah. What's been your favorite tournament experience out of all the tournaments that you've played in? What's the one that stands out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've probably, not exaggerating, probably played maybe 70 or 80 tournaments at this point.
Wow.
So it's tough to narrow it down to one.
Yeah.
But a couple of highlights for me was just experience-wise, I got to go over and play a couple tournaments in Europe a couple years ago with my brother Brian and Kyle Weekland. We played over as a KubbOn tour, went over, did some of the Three Nations tour in Belgium and Switzerland, and that was cool just to see a whole different atmosphere from what I'm used to in the States. But then the one I look forward to every year is probably West Coast. I love getting out to LA, especially in April. Like, I'm stuck up here in the cold north, and to get a weekend away and get to play Cube on grass again, which I hadn't, usually at that point I haven't seen in months. That's always a fun one. And those LA guys are just tons of fun.
Yeah, they're super cool dudes. KubbOn Tour. So how many different countries did y'all get to? Because it seems like I remember you guys posting on KubbOn and other social media sites about that experience, and it seems like maybe you played in two or even three different countries. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was what they called the Three Nations Cup. So it was it's Germany, Belgium, and Switzerland, and they had three tournaments, so one in each of those countries. My brother and Kyle got to go to all three. I had to jump in, and I could only do two of them, but I got to do Belgium and Switzerland, and they were just absolutely a blast. So much fun, and just like here, everybody there in the Coop community is just like super cool people, and we met up with a few of them outside of the tournaments too, and hung out, and it was a lot of fun.
How is the European game different than here in the states? Because I know there are some differences, maybe even in size of batons and cubes and whatnot. But
Yeah,
whether it be equipment size or even gameplay, what's the difference between the continents?
yeah. I'd say one of the big things was the use of string to mark the pitches. So they did like really taut strings to give real crisp lines. And then they played basically like if it touched the string at all, it was out. So it was like 100% in kind of
Mm.
thing. But with the string, it was nice and crisp. You didn't have to worry about like a stray blade of grass or something that was painted, like and argue about that. So it was pretty clear. Um, I think at least one of those tournaments they made you switch your incaster, so you couldn't. I think everyone on the team had to, if I recall. So I
Mm.
think all three of us had to rotate the incast, and that's a really interesting thing because typically here in the States you got one maybe two guys on your team that are pretty good at that, and the other person is just like going to focus on 8 meters or something. But there you had to really be like a well-rounded player. Um, and then in terms of like size of the equipment, I believe Germany played with a slightly different size set, but the last I had heard and talked to them over there, they're trying to standardize that around the what we'd call the traditional size that they play with at Worlds and at U.S. Nationals, and um, so
Um,
I,
oh, go ahead.
I think we did write up some articles about that. So if you go back to KubbOn.com and our archives, probably have some more detailed about that. I think we even the three of us all wrote our opinions on what we thought about like different rules and stuff, um, and some of them were positive, some of them were kind of detrimental to our success or lack of success there. But
Yeah. So, kind of sticking with the theme of standardization, um, what do you think about that? Do you think that the game should have a universal standard as far as gameplay and set size go, or do you kind of like what Eric mentioned in episode one that like they say in Gotland, your farm, your rules type thing? What's your 2 cents on that?
um, I guess in general, I'd say I'd like a certain amount of standardization, particularly with the equipment. So if we're all playing with the same sized cubes and batons, you're not having to adjust to different weights or sizes and stuff like that. Part I think should stay standard. Some of those other rules, like the neighbor rule or 100% in versus 50% in, like those are easy things to kind of switch on and not have to like relearn a whole game from tournament to tournament. So I think that that's perfectly cool to be up to those tournament directors, and but it, it would be really difficult for me, I think, to switch to a skinnier cubes and skinnier batons from one tournament to the next.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it was a couple different cube sets that I've got to play with. I can't remember what even the wood types were. Maybe like one was pine and one was poplar, and just feeling the difference in weight and how much more solid the poplar ones feel compared to the pine ones. Um, I really like poplar so far as just experience with cubes go. Um,
Yeah, me too. And that seems to be a very popular choice across the major set makers and the tournaments that I've played in here.
have you ever put on a tournament or helped put on a tournament?
Yeah, I've not done one solely by myself, but I have helped. The Michigan Championship that happened for the first time last year in Kalamazoo was a thing that Jesse and I had been talking about back when I still lived in Kalamazoo. So it was really cool to see that happen. I'm not trying to take any credit for that. It was largely driven by him, but he did bounce some ideas off of me. And my brother, Brian, from Motown, or from the Motown Kub Showdown over near Detroit, he's been doing that for, I think, 3 years now, and I've helped him out quite a bit, and especially with the format of that one. It's a scrambler, but we have trying to make a scrambler as fair as possible, but also as random as possible.
Yeah.
Without like repeating partners and things like that. So I've been involved in that one quite a bit.
And I think it was that one was, I don't know if it's this way every year or if it was, something new for last year or when it was. The awards were records. Was that right? That the trophies were records?
Actually, I got one here.
Oh, cool.
I finally did okay. It's just the consolation one, but I think it's some of the coolest trophies in the game. So that's a fun one. My brother does a good job of really pulling that Motown theme all the way through. He sets up a big playlist where it's all Motown artists and the records and all of the graphics and stuff that he does for it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's neat as just as I get more and more involved and with the Kub community, or reading things and seeing things on YouTube and whatnot and following tournaments. It's neat to see how people are starting to kind of personalize the trophies from tournament to tournament, as opposed to just what from early tournaments that I've seen on YouTube. It's like, oh, here's a king, congratulations.
Yeah.
Now it's some pretty neat, authentic, one-off type stuff. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the cool parts about it. And one thing I'm really excited about, I have a background in graphic design, so seeing a lot of new logos for tournaments and for Kub clubs and stuff like that, like seeing all those pop up is really fun too. Like people starting to get like an identity to their club, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Kalamazoo Kub Club's still around, yeah.
Yep. Jesse Frame's holding that down pretty well.
Yeah.
I know he's trying to grow it, but it still exists, and they're planning to do the Michigan Kub Championship again this June.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, Jesse, I don't know if you saw or not, but he was our winner last week for episode 1. I asked the question of when did Eau Claire officially become the Kub capital of North America, and Jesse was the person that commented with the correct month, day, and year to win some free swag that I have laying around. So yeah, he's a cool dude. I've met him once. I think I met him the first time around this year at Nationals, and then we've corresponded, on social media and stuff, just because he's super supportive of anybody and everybody, it seems like, that's involved with Kub. He is one of our followers here on Kub Talk, and follows my club on social media, and all this other stuff. So yeah, he's a diehard for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk KubbOn. When did KubbOn get started?
KubbOn officially launched in April of 2017, so we're coming up on our 3rd birthday. But it was an idea that I'd been kicking around at least a year before that. I started kind of putting some ideas down on paper and started talking to some people. If it was like, hey, is this a thing I should even pursue? Do you think people would be interested in it? And then I think in the fall of 2016 or so, kind of talked to the Weekland brothers in Ohio. They were doing OhioKub.com or something like that, and started doing a bunch of articles and things that were more than just about their tournaments they were holding. They were just about like Kub in general. And I was like, hey, I've been toying with this idea about doing like a greater Kub website, and cover all the tournaments, but also like let's get some resources out there. And so they came on board, and then Phil Dickinson up in northern Michigan, literally the guy who wrote the book on Kub, he was like interested as well, and my brother, and so we all got together, and I was like, here's what I'm thinking, and we bounced some ideas around, and came up with a content strategy and a plan, and put some articles out there, and launched in April, and it's been going ever since. It's a lot of work, but definitely a labor of love. Like I said, I'm kind of obsessed with Kub, so I'm happy to get it out there, and we're just hoping to be a resource for people out there, and spread the word of Kub as far as we can.
Yeah, what's the hardest thing about it, you think? Just the time it takes to post and make updates, or what's the one tough aspect of it?
Yeah, the time is definitely it is very time consuming. I'm doing my best to make sure that we cover every tournament in the States. So there's a bit of research involved with finding all of those, and then reaching out and finding out the info about them. And then I play a lot, so I try to recap as many of those tournaments as I can, and the other guys that help out from time to time. But that's honestly one of the things is we're open to anyone contributing too. So as people are doing cool Kub things, or maybe they've got a particular strategy that's different from what you see in the everyday tournaments and stuff, like I'd love to hear about those. If people want to write articles, I'd love to get those published, and we kind of want it to be a community thing. It's not just like me and some guys. It's like it's there for everyone, and we want everyone to be able to contribute to it as well.
Yeah, kind of like an open source type thing. Yeah, that's cool. My favorite thing about it, I guess, just initially was whenever the club directory that's on there, and being able to see all the different clubs that are that of, at least in the U.S. And then when our club got on KubbOn, I was just like, oh, this is so great! Like, this is real. We're like a real club now, and if people want to know where we're at, they can find us. And
yeah,
I just remember like thinking how cool that was to see our logo on y'all's map there on the website. Was it was fun.
Yeah, it was just as cool for me to see that grow. Like that map, when I first started, it was like a handful of clubs in just the Midwest, and over the 3 years it's been sitting online there, I wish I would have taken screenshots over the time, because it's really grown, and seeing it clubs sprout up, down south and out west, and it's been really cool to see that growth.
Yeah. Did you get to meet the guys from Arizona at Nationals?
Yeah, so that's Dave Elringer. He's originally from Eau Claire, so I've actually played a few times with him too.
Yeah,
he's a really cool guy. One of the OGs of Kub in the States, and super great player, nice guy.
Yeah. What about the New Mexico guys? That was their first year at Nationals.
Yeah.
They were great. They were in our bracket, and they were just super cool guys. And we ended up having a I don't know the correct term, a throw off or whatever, to determine 1, 2, and 3 for our bracket. And so we ended up throwing against them, and they ended up taking 1, and we took 2 in our bracket. But they were great guys. Like I've been following them on social media, and they are just fun dudes to hang out with, and they were cool.
Yeah, I did get to meet up with them. That's the crazy part about Nationals now, is it is so big. There's so many people. You don't always get to meet everybody. I'm not sure that I met you your first year, but I remember seeing your posts and stuff. So it felt like I had already kind of gotten to know Arkansas a little bit there. But I think that's cool. People from all over the country coming together and getting to meet all these people that we sort of get close to on social media, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't know if we did get to meet the first year, because I know I met your brother and Kyle Weekland and somebody else. I can't remember who it was. I mean, we met so many people that it was just kind of a whirlwind of
Yeah.
names and faces and whatnot. Um, so what's new for KubbOn coming up on year 3? Anything exciting to let the Kub community in on?
Yeah. So I've had a number of things in the works for a while now. But the thing, the most new thing that's going to be coming soon is KubbOn Air. It's going to be a podcast. I think initially it's going to probably be about every couple of weeks or so we'll release an episode. But the plan right now is to have some great guests and talk about Kub, and um, uh, the first few episodes will take some of our articles around like your first tournament or how to make a Kub set, like different things like that, and really break those apart a little further than just an article can do, and get some great guests that have like expertise in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we'll touch on all the upcoming tournaments and things like that. But it's an exciting project. I don't have a date for it yet, but coming soon.
Yeah. How will so will that be like on like Stitcher or any of the like Apple podcasts? Like how will
Yep.
people? Yeah.
Yeah, the plan is to launch it across everywhere we can.
Yeah.
So definitely Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major podcast providers.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Um, about how long is each podcast going to be? Do you have an idea? Are they going to be like 30 minutes? Are they going to be more like an hour? Or what do you envision?
It's probably closer to that, like 20 to 30 minutes. I've done a couple of test episodes, but nothing is super finalized. So this is like the first time I'm talking about it
Yeah. Nice.
publicly. So
You heard it
got
first,
some
right
breaking
here.
news here on Kub Talk.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Uh,
I'm looking forward to it. I love a good podcast. And this will probably be the first Kub related podcast. Yeah.
no, I think there are a couple that have happened over the
Hmm.
years. The Fox Valley Kub Radio from I think that was probably like 5, 6 years ago even.
Yeah.
And then Kub United had a podcast they were doing last year, a year before that, episodes here and there.
Okay.
So kind of following in those traditions, but we're hoping to get it going on a regular schedule. And but right now the plan is to do it year round, but that might shift a little bit depending on what there is to talk about and how busy I get really.
Yeah. 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 Understand that for sure. Life definitely happens and gets in the way, and you can't always do fun stuff like Kub podcast and Kub videos and whatnot as much as you would prefer.
Yeah.
So I guess two more questions. What do you love about Kub? If you had to narrow it down to one or two things, what is it that has you hooked and coming back week after week, month after month, year after year?
Yeah. I mean, I always say the people, and I do mean that. I've met just awesome people in Kub throughout the years, and just about everybody is just super nice, and from the best of the best to people just starting. It doesn't matter. Everyone's there, and they're willing to help you with your game and talk about the game and talk about strategies, and I love that aspect of it. To me, Kub is almost like my church. Like I go and I see all my people, and we get together like once a week, and we all sort of do this thing that unites us all, but we're all from different backgrounds and thing. It's a really interesting kind of thing for that. And then just like from the game in general, like beyond the tournaments and stuff, I just think it's such an interesting game because it's so accessible to so many different kinds of people, different ages. You don't have to be particularly athletic to do it, and anyone can play it. And to play it well is oftentimes just a matter of doing it over and over. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of its unique characteristics.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. Um, and I guess last question, non-Kub related. Uh, your beard is very nice. How long have you had a beard on your face? Yeah, how long have you had a beard on your face?
Oh, um, It has been so many years. I've had at least a goatee since I was 18, I think. I grew my first one at 16. My dad made me shave it for my high school senior pictures, and then after that, I had at least that on my face. But my first full beard was in 2000, probably 2005,
Yeah.
I think. And then I used to do the summer short beard and the
Hmm.
winter long beard. And this past year, I've just been kind of letting it go and just I'm
Yeah.
not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm just giving it a go.
Yeah.
Just
It's good and dark. Yeah. You
thanks.
mine the has just gotten so much more gray. I used to joke and say that it was from being married, but it's not that at all. It's from dealing with ninth graders in teaching high school has definitely caused me to get a lot more gray. But no,
That'll do it.
you got a good thick dark looking beard there. Have you ever done
Oh,
any
thank you.
beard competitions or anything like that?
I haven't. My wife keeps telling me I should.
Yeah,
She's the biggest driver behind this beard. Actually, she
nice.
absolutely loves it, and I think she'd be sad if I got rid of it. So,
Yeah, you sounds like you got a keeper for sure. So good for you.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. So, just wrapping up, how can people keep in touch with KubbOn? Where are you guys at on the socials?
We are at KubbOn Mag, MAG, at on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and then of course we got the website at kubbon.com. KUBBON.
All right, there it is, Christopher Jones from KubbOn.com, formerly of Kalamazoo Kub, currently of St. Paul Coob Society. I had to make sure I said that right. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and just all the hard work you put into making this game great and this community great. And super looking forward to KubbOn Air coming out when that drops. So thank you very much. I appreciate you just taking this time out of your day to hang out and chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here and really excited about the future of Coop Talk.
Yeah, thanks so much. So there it is, episode number 2, Christopher Jones from KubbOn.com. Before we get out of here, I just want to mention real quick that the Arizona Cube Invitational is coming up Saturday, January 18th. That's next Saturday at Sahuarita Lake Park in Sahuarita, Arizona. You can find all the information you need to about that tournament and that event on KubbOn.com. So go check it out. Thank you guys for your support and for watching. And until next time, we'll see you on the pitch.